Let me tell you something you already know.
Your player's worth the investment. Hello, I'm Dave Kirilloff with thelanguageofhitting.com. I have 3 topics I want to discuss. Number 1, I want to talk about perception and how perception affects your pitch recognition. Number 2, I want to talk about the pattern of anticipation. And number 3, I want to talk about the product. In the previous 2 videos, I discussed how the book, The Performance Cortex, has influenced me, has inspired me to look deeper into the neuroscience of the brain. The book has helped me to chunk other pieces of information together to form a better picture to understand hitting better from the neuroscience perspective. Perception. In the performance cortex, perception is largely discussed in many variables. One of the variables perception touches is the hitter's pitch recognition. Pitch recognition is the ability to decide, is the pitch a fastball, is the pitch a curveball, is the pitch a slider, changeup. Pitch recognition deals with spatial awareness. Is the pitch low? Is it high? Is it inside? Is it outside? Is this a pitch I want to swing at? Is this a pitch I want to take? For a lot of our science constituents who are in the laboratories doing research, they show us these computer modules that have games where, you know, we see a dot coming from a direction and we decide if it is a fastball, is it a curveball, is it a pitch that's going to be in the strike zone. What looks good and reasonable, these computer simulated games, I'm not really convinced that they're going to help our hitters hit better in games. Likewise, I'm not convinced that these flashing lights on a board are going to help our hitters perform better in games. They may test certain variables if this player's brain is functioning as the best capacity it can. I just don't see the development in the games as of yet. And again, when I say the word development, I don't see it transferring, making the hitters perform better in the games. Something the book, the Performance Cortex profile, was certain tests where an individual had blurred vision while they were trying to complete their task. I've known about these kind of studies in the past, and I performed them my own self, and I have remarkable results. I've taken hitters who have worn glasses and removed the glasses and asked them to hit. These players who wear glasses can hardly see the ball, but they still square it up. How do you explain that? How I explain it is this: they use perception. Once you understand the pattern of perception, and once you understand the patterns that are responsible for good pitch recognition, you can teach a batter to do it. Here's a short example of what I'm talking about. Here are some glasses that I have frosted that you can hardly see out of. Now, I wear glasses, and I'll put my glasses on behind them, and I have blurred vision while wearing these frosted glasses. I give them to a player who is a collegiate player who does very, very well in the offensive categories, and he's put them on. And as you can see, he has blurred vision. He can hardly see the ball. So like the player who I asked to remove the glasses, I create a blurred vision for a person who has very good vision. This person you're watching batting has been taught the notion of perception and is taught the patterns of pitch recognition, what is really behind pitch recognition. The next thing I want to talk about is the pattern of anticipation. One of the most important variables that affects your perception is a hitter's pattern of anticipation. In the neuroscience field, a lot of neuroscientists would call this the predictive brain, meaning that brain continuously generates predictions about causes of the world based on spatial and temporal statistical regularities. These predictions are updated by incoming sensory data. To put it clearly, a pattern of anticipation is what's developing in the hitter's mind just before he or she sees the ball. And let me just kindly share this with you. With 26 plus years in the hitting laboratory and research department, I found that this may be one of the most detrimental features to hitters who don't perform well in games. It is their lack of anticipation and understanding what is anticipated. I mentioned this throughout my whole video series and video promotions, the pitcher's common denominator. And a lot of researchers are trying to find what is a common place that's gonna signal the hitter that the ball is about to come. I call it the pitcher's common denominator. Every pitcher in baseball has one. Every pitcher in fast pitch softball has one. The pitcher's common denominator is a nugget. It's largely responsible to help aiding the hitter to understand the pattern of anticipation. The other variable that helps assist with the pattern of anticipation is understanding your natural hitting tempo. It's understanding what is your natural athletic disposition and hitting from a tempo that's either from slow medium or that's medium to fast. And inside of that tempo is the ability for the hitter to master his or her adrenaline button. When you combine the hitter's adrenaline, when you combine the hitter's natural hitting tempo, when you combine the hitter's ability to understanding where's that place inside of the delivery that's going to mark, I need to start paying attention to the ball, then the hitter begins to have a better awareness of picking the ball up earlier in the flight path. But picking the ball up earlier in the flight path is not the end of pitch recognition. You see, pitch recognition has a lot more variables that it's included that a lot of laboratory scientists and neuroscientists are falling short in discussing. All these variables that I'm mentioning to you, the pitch recognition, the pitcher's common denominator, your natural hitting tempo, where you actually see the ball in the flight path. All these variables are teachable variables. So this is where my product comes into play. One product I have is I visit various cities and I host a camp in cities across the country. It's inside these camps and clinics where I teach your hitters these principles from the world's greatest hitting formula and from the best hitting drill ever. The best part about these camps is that I work with your hitter face to face, and I address their specific needs and I help them to be better game hitters. The next product I have is an online video series that includes the best hitting drill ever, editions 3 and 4. This is like the starter's kit to understanding perception. It's a starter's kit to understanding timing. Next, I have a very extensive video series called The World's Greatest Hitting Formula, and this is over 6 hours in length. It's inside this video series that includes some of the biggest gold nuggets I've ever researched and studied. That includes the pitcher's common denominator, both for baseball and for softball. The other product I have is I come visit you, I come visit your team. Let's help our kids to be as good as they can be while they're still young. I'm Dave Kirilloff, languageofhitting.com, and Lord bless you. Calling your name. Oh, Jesus.